Some recipes can be daunting when cooking them for the first time, so Tesco and Sorted Food have teamed up to help you with some of your food firsts.
Today we've got a nice beef goulash.
Now goulash is one of those recipes that you said you wanted to learn how to cook, so if this is the first time that you're making it, we're going to give you all the tips to make it perfectly. Here is a list of all the equipment that you're going to need. If that doesn't give you long enough, why not screen grab it?
As for the ingredients, you'll need stewing beef, loads of onion, caraway seeds, paprika and tomatoes. Then once that's stewed down, we're adding loads of veg, button mushrooms, peppers and courgette, and then we're serving it with crushed potatoes and plenty of green veg. The first step though is our beef. Now I went to speak to Tesco butcher Diane to see exactly what type of beef we should be using in our goulash. So goulash is a really long, slow cook. What type of meat should we be using?
Well, you need to use skirt, grating steak, casserole, chuck or stew.
And why are they more important?
When you're doing a slow cook with the fat, it gives it a nice flavour and it's very tender.
Okay, but we need to cook them for a long time to get that out of it.
Well, slower the better actually.
So for that reason, we've got stewing braising steak from the front of the cow. We need to season it well with salt and pepper and then fry it in a very hot pan with a little bit of oil in small batches because you don't want to cool that pan down, and then transfer it into a much bigger pot you're going to cook the whole goulash in.
As Ben fries the beef, I'm going to start slicing some onions. Now it seems like a lot of onion, but actually you want almost as much onion as you've got beef.
Don't be tempted to skip this stage because it's that searing that adds so much flavour to your goulash, but once it's done, in the same pan with all those beefy juices, go in with all of your onions and they'll need a good 5 or 10 minutes until they're really soft, then they can go on top of the beef too. The last stage of the goulash before we put it into the oven for a long slow cook is a couple of flavours that are pretty authentic: caraway seeds and paprika, loads of paprika. Now purists might disagree with this, but I think about a tablespoon of plain flour helps just to bind and thicken the whole thing, along with tomato, water, put a lid on it and get it in the oven 150 degrees Celsius for 3 hours. After 3 hours of cooking, the beef and the onions are really tender. Next up, we're going to add 2 cloves of garlic, which we're going to peel and finely chop, along with 2 green peppers, which we're going to de-seed and cut into chunks about thumb fingernail size-ish. Right. And although not traditional, but we want to add loads of extra veg, a whole bowl of button mushrooms. Then put it back in the oven for another 45 minutes. To serve with our goulash, we're going for some crushed potatoes. So take something like a Maris Piper, peel them, chunk them up, and submerge them in cold salted water in a saucepan. Then heat them to a boil and bubble for 20 minutes.
As we wait for the peppers to cook in the goulash, we're just going to add the final couple of touches. First of all, we're going to finely slice some savoy cabbage and boil it away in some salted water with some peas for a few minutes. And then, just as the goulash comes out of the oven, we're going to throw in some finely diced courgette. Now you don't have to cook that because the residual heat of the goulash will cook it before it gets to the table.
To finish your potatoes, drain them over a sink, and plenty of olive oil, salt and pepper will make that absolutely perfect. And then you kind of want to beat them together, but just with a spoon. You're not looking for a mash. Serve it up with our boiled green veg that should still be nice and al dente. And just before you serve the goulash, test it for seasoning. Often a squeeze of lemon juice will actually really bring it to life because it's so rich from all the paprika. Lemon's exactly what you need.
If you've never cooked or even eaten goulash before, then you can't go wrong with this recipe.
This is our beef goulash packed full of veg, sorted.